It seems to be plenty of blame to go around as to why Chris Paul got released and the manner in which he got released. And we're going to discuss that right now. But before we do, as always, make sure you guys hit that sub button, drop a like on the video if you enjoy this type of content. I normally talk about basketball, football, great takes, sports debates. If you love that, man, make sure you drop a sub. Go follow me on all other socials as well at OGTheBeast_sports. Now, there has been rumors that Chris Paul has been kind of ornery and a little bit disgruntled in the background when it comes to the LA Clippers, which led to him being released by the Clippers. Him and Ty Lue aren't seeing eye to eye, but I don't give a damn about that. I really don't. Chris Paul is a legend, and to release him in the middle of a road trip to me is diabolical, right? You didn't have to release this man in the manner in which you did. Now, did Chris Paul do some things to ruffle some feathers in LA? It's been speculated that he's been going behind the back of the coaching staff and basically chirping with the younger players, telling them to defy the coaching staff in so many words, right? I don't want to directly say defy, but to basically do the opposite of what's being told or expected of them to do, in his opinion, which was frowned upon, of course, by the coaching staff. And one thing led to another. Disagreements flew, words exchanged. Chris Paul was released inevitably, right? I don't like it one bit. Like I said, Chris Paul's an all-time legend. And the disrespect that all-time greats get when you're not seen as somebody that can produce at the level that you once could, so now you've become expendable in their eyes. So now you got to play the good boy role because you're expendable, right? You're tolerated as long as you can produce at a high level. And now Chris Paul, after making it official that this would be his last season, has become a bit ornery and given a bit of pushback in that locker room. And now, because he's not producing at the level that he once could, he's become damaged goods. He's become expendable in the eyes of the Clippers, led by Tyronn Lue, right? Like I said, when the problem becomes bigger than the production, you become expendable. But we're talking about a guy that I feel like I shouldn't have to label off what he's been to this league since inception, but I'm going to do it anyway. Top 75 player of all time. Only 75 players donned this list, as we know. Did some people get cheated? Of course. Chris Paul was not one of them, which means his position in NBA history is solidified. Rookie of the year back in 05. Five-time assist leader, Chris Paul is. One of the greatest passers we have ever seen. This guy's an 11-time All-NBA. 6-time steals champion, elite on the defensive side of the ball, especially for a diminutive player. And a lot of people like to slight Chris Paul's defense towards the later or the back end of his career. He was still productive offensively, of course, but they like to slight Chris Paul's defense. In his prime, he was no slouch on the defensive side of the ball. Hence why he's a 9-time all-defensive team, 12-time All-Star. One of 3 players in NBA history with over 20,000 points, 10,000 assists, and 2,000 steals. That speaks volume to the all-around player that Chris Paul was. The production was unmatched from the point guard position in my eyes. Arguably top 5, definitely a top 10 point guard of all time. Only thing missing on his resume besides a championship is an MVP. So if you value that, and let that be the reason why he didn't enter your top 5, because all of the guys in the top 5 either have a championship or an MVP, I'm not mad at that, right? It's your list. But if you asking me, he's easily, if not top 5, top 7 point guard of all time. And for an organization that he put in a lot of work for, that he brought a lot of good to, especially a dysfunctional one like the LA Clippers, how many icons can the LA Clippers literally say they have? When you think of the team, the LA Clippers, what names come to mind? The only ones that come to mind for me is Lob City, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan. That is it. That is it. Now, if you want to talk about what the Clippers have been recently in the spits and spats free agents that they've added in recent history, fine. But when we're talking about the foundation of the Los Angeles Clippers, when they finally turn the page from being a little brother in L.A. to being at least at bare minimum on the same level as the Lakers, if not exceeding the Lakers at some point during that Chris Paul era, this is the team we're talking about. And to erase history like that by releasing this man on a road trip and the fashion in which they handled the situation blows my mind. It literally blows my mind. Chris Paul was brought in to be the third string point guard, right? So he's a literal extension of the head coaches and the coaching staff. So I understand if he is undercutting and undermining the coaches in the eyes of the younger players, why that could be a problem. Yes, but I feel like it could be addressed. And I feel like because of who he is, you overlook that. Now, even though that is an allegation, Chris Paul, confirmed by Stephen A. Smith, Chris Paul said that none of that shit is true. So that's all been fabricated. But again, there's three sides to every story: Chris Paul's, the Clippers, and the truth. We don't really know what the truth is. All we have to go off is, from the Clippers standpoint, they say he was ornery, disrespectful, undercutting the coaches, right? From Chris Paul's aspect, he says that's not to be the case. Were they seeing eye to eye? No, they were not. But it was not as extreme as the Clippers are trying to make it to justify the releasing of him in the way that they did the shit. I just feel like superstars deserve more grace than what they've been getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that one bit. So now Chris Paul doesn't get to go out the way that he wanted to go out. And I wouldn't be surprised if this affects whether or not they decide to hang his jersey up in the rafters. It's just something to think about. And Chris Paul's not the most liked player around the league, even to fans, right? I know a couple of guys that just don't rock with Chris Paul for whatever reason, whether it be they feel like he choked in the playoffs, or whether it be they feel like he doesn't elevate his teammates enough, which I think is all bullshit because Chris Paul is a playoff performer. Has he had the same luck as other guys? No. But we're not going to say what he did in Houston wasn't great when he was with James Harden, and he was derailed by an injury in Game 6 that cost Golden State, or that cost Houston a win, inevitably propelling Golden State to the NBA Finals. We're not going to sit here and talk about how he was sent to OKC to essentially be drowned in the water, and he ended up elevating them to a playoff team when nobody saw that coming. You know, nobody wants to talk about how he elevated the Clippers from the basement, an afterthought, to producing perennial all-NBA players and perennial playoff appearances. Did he make it to the NBA Finals? No. But he did make that franchise relevant, and we cannot overlook that. Chris Paul is somebody that deserves the benefit of the doubt, in my opinion, and you let that man go out gracefully. If you can't deal with it for X amount of months, like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. But Chris Paul is released from the LA Clippers. Chris Paul now has to retire like he was a bum, like he was a scrub, like he meant nothing to the league, which to me is crazy, right? And here we are. Let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. As always, make sure you guys hit that sub button. Make sure you guys drop a like. It really helps me out. I love these conversations I have with you guys. The back and forth banter in the comment section on any social media platform is always great. We embrace engagement over here at the Sports Behavior Podcast. As always, my name is OG the Beast. Follow me on all socials at OG the Beast _sports. I love all of y'all, man. OG out. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that sub button. Also, drop a like on the content. And while you at it, check out these two videos you see on the screen. OG out.